Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS European Challenger. We're getting ready to move into our second semi-final match.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Believe in yourself, damn it.
We've had a lot of really cool and awesome long games here today. My name is still Fear Dragon, and I'm still joined by Nathanius here.
My name is also still Nathanius.
Still Nathanius. You haven't changed it yet. You're not going full
not
like
sparkling Nathanius.
You're not still. You're not going.
Not European.
What was the name of the guy? You like changed his name to Swag something or something as a Korean player.
Oh my God! Yeah, was it Swagger? Oh. Swagger. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Protoss player. Was it Billowy? Made his name.
I think
Swagger?
it was Billowy. I think you're right. Yeah. Oh God. Well, thankfully, neither one of us are going full Billowy on this.
No. No.
But our next series is going to be a pretty cool one. It's going to be a ZVZ Namshar versus Snute. I think Snute still probably going to be...
who becomes the sacrificial lamb to Cyril.
Yeah, but you know, still getting second place is nice now.
Second place is still nice.
That is, of course, going to be a very difficult grand final match. But still, this is going to be a fun one, I think, because Namshar... Normally, I would say Snute pretty heavily favored, or at least give him a good amount of favoritism, but Namshar has just been on a tear-through, and a lot of it has been off the back of ZVZ with his, I think, there was the graphic that you and Rotterdam kept pointing out about his series or something, like he was 0-4 or 4-0 or something versus Stefano. And there was that. Yeah. There was, of course, his earlier match in the round of 8, which was another ZVZ, and now this one. So
yep. Did a great job in his series versus Nurchio. He really outclassed him there. So if he brings that to this match against Snute, I actually like Namshar's odds a good bit. Seems like he's been playing very well. He's feeling fresh today. I like it. It is getting a little late over in Europe now. Cannot believe we started 7 hours ago, but here we are.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting match because, you know, ZVZ can definitely go hit or miss. I think that the players are just saying that they're pretty much ready. Here.
And we'll get into this match.
Lost
and
right.
Found. Not surprising. This is the new overgrowth for this season. This is the map everyone wants to play on because it's just very straightforward, very standard. There's nothing really too weird about it.
Yeah, the kind of fun thing about these players, I know you were talking about this before the actual series started. Snute, he's known for his late game play. He's known for going into the super duper like turtle mode sometimes. But I would say ZVZ, he's a bit more willing to get aggressive. And Namshar is the player that I think is well known throughout the entire European and even the North American scene at this point for just loving his roaches. He loves getting into those mass roach wars.
Yep. Let's see what he can get done. In the bottom left here of Lost and Found, he is Namshar.
All right, and spawning up here in the top right, we have our blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is Snute.
So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see either of the players super cheesy. I'm like, should we talk about our favorite rock? What's your favorite seasoning to put on food?
Favorite season?
Let's go full tastosis here, because this is going to be slow. This is nothing's going to happen
This is going to take some time to open up. You know, black salt is actually really, really awesome.
I like pink salt.
Or sorry, pink salt. Oh my God, I said black salt. Pink salt.
Black salt, is that road salt? Do you get that when it snows?
I put asphalt on my food. You know, it wakes me up in the morning.
I've never heard of that before.
Wouldn't that be great though? I could have actually just said some random word in like Hindi or something, and you would just believe me. Actually, you know, this is a real problem that I have.
That's very abusive.
I have a real
languages against me.
No, I have a real problem sometimes because there are some foods that I actually only know what those words are in Hindi, and I grew up in the United States. I grew up in Boston. I don't speak any Hindi, but my parents would just sometimes call certain vegetables or like beans.
Can you ask them how to say in that, like chicken tendies? Can you give me that?
Chicken tendies?
Yeah, figure that one out for me. I appreciate it. I expect a call back tomorrow.
Of course. I'll send it to you. I'll get it to you today.
Make a very important phone call to your family. Both players are doing the exact same thing, by the way. With no variation yet.
Yeah, I mean,
two more link. Nope, the same account links.
Yeah, no Zergling speed just yet for Namshar.
There it is.
There it is. It's very
up to 6 lings. Up to 6 lings for a Snute. Okay, we have our deviation. Namshar's gonna squeeze out an extra drone.
Okay, I can dig it. You know, it's the small little differences sometimes that make a profound difference later on if you end up getting that one extra drone out, and sometimes you just don't have those extra 2 lings, so your hatchery takes a bit more damage, or you lose that first ling fight, and then your third base has trouble getting up. They sometimes can make a big difference, but more often than not, it's not a huge deal. You can kind of bounce back from it either way. Snute, you can even see he's making 2 more drones where Namshar made a drone or
yeah.
This
is as slow of a basic ZVZ start as we could have. So Snute's gonna poke a little bit and then he's gonna move away. Snute is, however, pushing out with his queens.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that. Snute gets an Overlord kill. He's a little bit more aggressive. He knows that his opponent isn't really doing anything. So he's like, yeah, all right, I guess I can chill like this. This is fine.
That's the advantage of being aggressive with your own lings, is that when you see that and you force your opponent's lings back, you kind of know, like, okay, yeah, I can move forward with my queens. There's no danger of me losing them to a bunch of speedlings running forward, and then I just lose the game instantly. So he's going to feel good about that, but both these players are respecting each other. They're both getting up their baneling nest. You got a couple of lings making their way into the main base over here. Snute going to get a pretty decent scout out, and he's going to try and hide those. I think Namshar should know about this.
Yeah, you don't get away with that. I'm like, yeah, and maybe you try to get like...
Oh my god, he's hiding him in plain sight. This is actually so sick.
There's no way he doesn't...
Namshar
he's
is
poking
busy.
the third at the same
busy.
time. Yeah, he's poking the third base at this moment. So Snute being a little bit cheeky.
Oh, he does find...
Gets canceled. The other one will finish and kill 2 Zerglings. So.
Okay. And, of course, Snute also not making too much happen on the other side with the third base. But, hey, you can see the small little bits and pieces of damage. Snute's actually up a decent amount of workers after all of that.
Yeah, we have the Lings coming back across the map for Namshar to put on some pressure. Snute has the Banes, though. He is ready and gets a decent shot off. Good Ling splits by Namshar to actually keep enough to put pressure still on this. There's only 1 Baneling remaining as he goes over to the third base. And Snute's, well, Namshar's got more Banes running straight through past that Queen. Good target fire. Actually, that one Baneling blew up on the Queen.
Yeah, they don't quite get the damage. And this is, I think, it's the problem when you make defensive Banelings and then you say, ah, shoot, okay, I need to get aggressive with these units, is that now you have this slow waddle across the map. The Lings get there way faster than the Banelings, and the aggression just, it kind of loses a lot of its oomph, I think, when you try and do something like that. So you kind of saw that with Namshar. Yeah. Well, either way, both these players end up on a roughly 44 to 45 workers. I think that we have Namshar getting up his Roach Warren. No Roach Warren just yet for Snute, but I imagine he will be getting it up pretty shortly since he's already started up his +1 missile attack, and Lings don't really utilize that.
No. The Lings do get inside of the main base here, try to poke away at the Queen of Snute, but Queens are sturdy. They are not easily thwarted, and I think doing that is it kind of gives up his hand actually poking that Queen, as these Lings should be able to prevent these Banelings from...
Yep.
I was going to say, they didn't have any health left, so clean up.
Okay. Well, Namshar has moved across the map, even though he is the one that got up that earlier Roach Warren. It looks like he wants to maybe do something with those Lings into Banelings, but Snute is the one that... Okay, it's Namshar, never mind. Namshar is doing for 12 more workers. I was going to say, Snute got up a massive round of drones. Namshar is playing a little bit of catch-up, but it's not... He's about 8 workers behind. It can be kind of a big deal, but he's getting up 8 more workers. So this game has just been really even, and both these players have tried to get aggressive, and none of their attempts have really worked outside of, I would say, this is like the first successful aggression that's happened.
But Namshar doesn't even have his own 4th on the way, so it's like he cancels the 4th, but he doesn't really have one, so even if he starts his now, which he is, it's gonna end up being kind of even-ish with Snute, so not getting a tremendous lead off of that. And both players are getting close to that 70 drone count.
Okay, and Namshar retreating back home. Again, it's just small groups of Lings at this point, so not a whole lot of damage is likely going to happen from either side. The Queens alone are enough to kind of make or break the difference in these fights. But yeah, I think that this is kind of the game that Namshar maybe wants to play, where he wants to just have these sort of even-ish trades, get through the Ling-Baneling phase, and then go into the big Roach play. Whereas Snute, I think he's going to feel comfortable the longer the game goes on. You get past the Roaches, you get into Hydra Tech, you get into all these other things. This is where I think that I was going to say the big deviation might happen, but no, we got Hydra Tech coming down for both these players around the same time.
Yep, only real difference.
They're just playing the mirrored games.
Yeah, well, there's Carapace upgrade for Namshar, which he's been pushing for a little bit more than some of the other players. He also had that Carapace upgrade advantage versus Nurchio. in a few of those games. Snute is going to start
He's
his
getting
up.
his own.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's playing a similar style then.
I feel like every single time we say, well, here's the difference between these two players, it's like, actually, no, we're gonna make sure that that's not a difference anymore.
Yeah, I mean, these are two players that are very comfortable in that Roach phase of the game.
Yeah.
I think that's like pretty fair to say. You don't expect any, no regret or Scarlet type builds out of these two.
Yeah, Snute I think is maybe the only one that I would even say will
Let's get that
sometimes
queen.
go for it.
He tries to get Overlord kills. I mean, he's not going to break his record like he did against.
That was a little.
Namshar.
That was a little absurd. That was some Overlord kills that should not have happened.
No.
Snute playing a little more on point is not going to let that happen. He is getting is going to be going up against a Lurker Den that's pretty quick as well. So Namshar maybe looking to tech up a bit faster than Snute.
Namshar is definitely looking to be the aggressor here. That's the vibe that he's been giving me. He's out on the map. He's breaking down the rocks. He's opening up paths for himself.
Do you think he can be right now? I mean, he's still down a bit in army supply. I feel like if he's gonna pressure, it's got to be like fake pressure for a little bit, right?
Yeah, he's fine. It all ends up being very close to even in the end anyway. He doesn't have as many roaches, but I expect to see him go into those hydras, and he's adding more roaches to even it out. But I expect to see him go to the hydras a little bit earlier and try to get those lurkers offensively. Snute got 2 hydra dens, by the way. That's a
Which is funny because he didn't get up double upgrades.
He's not double upgrading.
He did not.
Makes it it's just a
mistake. Yeah. Well, when the Roach run by happens and he ends up losing one Hydra Dem and keeps the other one alive, that'll be the critical moment that we talk about.
calculated.
Calculated. Seeing so far into the future. I mean, these guys are just really playing toward that future game, but oh, there's that Roach run by. Oh my god, did I actually anti-caster curse something?
That's kind of amazing, Fear Dragon. Namshar is pushing with
level.
a lot of Roaches and Ravagers, dropping the Biles on that 4th base of Snute while he tries to make his way up the ramp. Behind this, he has his +2 Carapace already started. He is one of the few Zergs that focuses heavily on that, and he's got Hydralisks coming out, which means we are going to see the Lurkers very soon. And we do know those Lurkers can be scary. Did he go for...
He saw the Lurker Den.
Okay, he's got his Hydra speed almost done, so he can get those Hydras across the map and then turn them into Lurkers pretty fast if he wants to.
Yeah, that's a good point. Snute is a good bit further. Okay, there he's actually finally starting. That's actually really funny. I think he started up the muscular augments on a different Hydra Den than the other one. Okay, well, now we end up seeing the Roaches and Ravagers start to push across the map here for Snute. It's going to be a little while until the Hydras actually make their way over.
Namshar has a lot of Roaches on the other side of the map, but he also has his Lurkers done. One of them is going to get shut down there, but those 3 Lurkers give him the capability to try and do a little bit of a counter-aggression since he doesn't need his whole army with that siege position.
I like this movement from
Snute is going to collapse on top of this.
Okay. Yep. Maybe a little bit of
Use the rest of your units, yeah.
Yeah, he's busy kind of poking forward. These units are all trying to like engage against each other, so I guess maybe losing a little bit of track of his units there for a moment, but understandable. Pro going to be coming out over here for Snute as well. I can dig it.
Snute playing actually pretty solid here. He's got really good macro. His production's been on point. I felt like Namshar was going to keep his aggression that he was doing in this series earlier versus Nurchio, but it turns out that Snute has... He's on point. He's ready for this sort of aggro play out of his opponent, and he's doing very well because of it. However, the Lurkers are going to complicate things as the number of them continues to rise. But Namshar went for that Hive much faster, and his +3 attack and adaptive Talons are on the way.
Yeah, he's also got a lot more Hydras out on the map. Not just the Lurkers, or the Hydras for Lurkers, he's actually just straight up keeping a lot of Hydras out on the map compared to Snute, who's just kind of left around 3 maybe for some form of anti-air, maybe be able to pick off an Overseer here and there. This is where I think a lot of the big differences in their current army is going to be coming into play, whereas I know you were talking about the tech that they're getting out. I think that this phase of the game, I know that a lot of people think about like Roach Wars as like, oh, it's very slow and all that stuff, but I feel as though when you get up to Lurkers, that's the phase of the game where ZVZ becomes really volatile again. Because if you're ever even slightly out of position, the entire game can just turn on its head. You just lose half a chunk of your army, or you lose a really important base in an instant.
He's going to try to push up this ramp, but Snute has his own Lurkers. He doesn't really have a lot of Ravagers with this army for Namshar, so getting Biles onto that is not going to really be possible. Cleans up the attack on the right side. Here the army comes up the ramp. Those few Biles that are available are dropped, but I mean, pushing up a ramp into Lurkers is never going to be easy. Does finally clear those parts of him out. He's got his own Lurkers. But Snute can heal these roaches pretty easily with that burrow that he has.
Yeah, I mean, healing up the roaches would be really, really beneficial in this situation. But yeah, his lurkers haven't really gotten involved in the fight just yet, whereas Namshar has been able to find a lot of value from this. Namshar engaged there with a lot smaller of an army, but still made a kind of trade out pretty effectively.
And Vipers on the way. Namshar doing a really good job of segueing his unit composition.
I think both these players have some Vipers now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the potential for using Abduct on those lurkers is really good. Pull them out of the ground. Blinding Cloud is also pretty good against the lurkers. The weird thing about lurkers is even if you Blinding Cloud them and then they have melee range, when they shoot that attack out, it still goes the whole way in whatever the direction of what they're shooting at is. But of course, they can't move, so.
Okay, we got a handful of units on the south side of the map at the same time. A squadron of roaches looking to go for a counterattack, but actually, funny enough, they're going to walk straight over some tunneling clawed roaches. Snute going to turn around for a moment while there is a fight brewing on the south side, but look at the spine crawler wall.
Damn.
This is one really solid way to say you can't attack here.
Well, he can use the lurkers. They do have the
that
range
blinding
to siege,
cloud.
but the blinding cloud and then abducting all the lurkers straight into that field of spines. That is a devastating loss for Namshar, as he's going to push back the roaches on the north side, waiting for the Overseer to join him so he can kill these. But
Nate, I think we might get up into like Broodlords or something at this rate.
Yeah.
Neither of these, both these players are doing a really good job.
I told you before we went on with this match.
Yeah, you did.
Snute, Snute does one of the last things you'll see Snute do is try to push a game to the end. He will play the latest game possible if he thinks that's what he needs to do to win. He's an extremely conservative player when it comes to this. He's got so many spine crawlers everywhere, extremely defensive. A few of those lurkers are going to get canceled, though.
Yeah, all but 2 of them, I think, get canceled over there. At the same time, Namshar is also going to be able to push in at an angle. He's going to find a lot of these Overlord supply blocking Snute pretty heavily as well. Oh, that's a huge problem right now for the reinforcements.
Snute is maxed, so he does have that big army. He's going to need to back off. Got to be careful of abducts both ways.
Yeah, have to be very, very wary about that.
Yeah, it's like there's a little bit of
Carry. That's our
disappointed
admin.
son.
Oh,
all right,
Carry left
he's
the
out.
game.
We're back. We're good.
He was quick. We'll forgive him this time.
No.
No.
Twitch chat never forgives. Twitch chat never forgets.
Okay. Oh, lurkers. Oh boy, they get a lot of damage done on those forward roaches. Namshar has to be a bit wary about this. His lone lurkers not really.
Both players abducting so much using those Vipers to great effect. 9 lurkers being added for Snute.
But Namshar doesn't have any lurkers left over. I feel like he's got to be really cautious about these engagements.
Namshar has a ton of money. I mean, I'm getting the vibe that he's hoping that he could do something about the Vipers, because look at that Spire. Like, he could go Broodlords, but he's also got enough money that he could do some really weird devastating.
Those blinding clouds, though. He just eats those lurker shots for a solid 3 or 4 seconds. His army's just gone. Like, I agree. He still has a bank, and he has a Spire on the way. I think the saving grace here is what you were talking about. Snute is not. He's very conservative. He's very, very cautious about
Snute's not going to attack. That's not what Snute does.
I agree, and I think that's the saving grace here. But that was a lot of army supply to lose for Namshar.
Yep. Well, I don't disagree with that. Spire's almost done. There's the Greater Spire immediately. So he's saying, I've got all this money. I want to go into Broodlords. I want to make some stuff happen. We see the Vipers feasting upon the Zerg infrastructure. And he's going to find this big Roach Burrow attack that was making its way to the northwest base. This is a really nice grab. Most of his units are in range. He kills half of those roaches. Easy peasy.
Okay, and he's going to be able to push on even further forward. The lurkers not really unburrowing in this situation, and Snute moves as far forward as possible to get some good blinding clouds done, and he does accomplish that, but...
Oh, there we go. I was going to say, I want to see the Vipers abduct each other.
Yeah.
Those are very high-value units. The blinding clouds are nice, but abducts in this situation can be just... If neither of you can shoot, wouldn't just pulling the individual units into your melee range forces end up helping at some point?
16 Corruptors on the way with the bank that Namshar has I mean, the bigger problem is going to be that he needs some additional supply to be freed up so he can make some Broodlords.
He actually cannot make Broodlords until he loses more of his army. He built too many Corruptors.
Yeah, maybe a few too many. But
I don't think he needs 16 Corruptors, because it's not like he's going to counter them with Corruptors in this situation. He doesn't have a Spire either.
I guess you can still use them to snipe off your opponent's Vipers as well.
Vipers. Maybe Overlords. If you get into a weird situation, you could have them do that caustic spray meme. That stuff is deadly.
Yeah, you know, funny enough, I don't think I've actually seen as many ZVZs where I get to see Caustic Spray.
I don't think
used
I've
a lot.
ever seen Caustic Spray using a ZVZ. If I have, I've forgotten about it because it was so long ago or so immemorable.
Maybe just take out your opponent's Spire so they can't get up their own corrupt.
This is what I like. Really good abducts by Namshar. I don't know that he actually killed any of those units because he immediately moved away, but I still like the thought process behind it. We have a Spire coming in for Snute. So he's probably thinking Broodlords himself, or maybe he's concerned about Broodlords from his enemy.
This is the funny thing, is that if there takes too long here for Namshar to actually sacrifice some of that supply and get up some Broodlords, which he still hasn't started yet, then there's actually going to be a lot of time bought for Snute to get up his own Broodlords.
Good Blinding Cloud Spine Crawlers, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
The Blinding Cloud buildings, including Planetary Fortresses.
Yes, you can.
All right, a lot of Broods on the way now. Namshar taking some okay-ish trades with all these Blinding Clouds being thrown down. He's just trying to soften up this army and also get rid of some of that supply.
16 Broodlords.
That is a lot of
This is
Broodlords.
dangerous. This is actually dangerous now because if Snute sees this, he just makes a ton of Corruptors.
Oh my
Or
god,
Hydra
he's making it right here. He's making it right in front of the army.
Yeah, he's a madman. Oh my god, is he gonna get
Oh!
underneath them? Okay, that's
Cancels
smart.
all of them.
Parasitic bombs that Corrupt.
Oh, there's still 6 Broodlords out on the map somewhere. Where are those? Okay, those are back over here in the middle.
I like this because you cannot just let your opponent. We've seen Zergs lose in CVZ. They're like, I've got a bunch of Broodlords. And then a bunch of Corruptors show up and they're like, oh.
I mean, even before the Corruptors show up, I feel like if the Hydras are just directly underneath them, you're like, actually, your Broodlords do need some distance between me and
Remember once upon a time Broodlords were frenzied? Remember the time when Broodlords were like... Broodlords used to have passion, ladies and gentlemen. Broodlords used to be frenzied because they were so excited for StarCraft because they loved the game so much.
You
Now
couldn't move them. You couldn't touch them.
They could not be moved, Fear Dragon, but they lost their passion. And now Broodlords can be pushed and pulled around like toys, and it sickens me. Those abducts destroying the Broodlords that he got out, and Namshar's tech switch falls flat on its face. And he's just going to use those Corruptors to fight a bit. We do have Corruptors coming out for Snute.
Oh,
so.
the Vipers, the Vipers, the Vipers!
Oh my god.
Oh, juiciest connections ever. Parasitic Bomb this all you want, man. He'll take these trades, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, trade those Corruptors out for the Vipers, especially since Snute has built Corruptors.
Actually, he got, what, 4 of the Vipers for, like, I want to say 8 or 9 Corruptors? Actually, was that worth it?
I think he's done with the Spire memes though. I think it was good. I think he wanted to get rid of the Corruptors because it allows him to go remax back into this. Look at this, 13 Lurkers are on the way. That yeah. He just got back from EDC. You know, this is how he likes.
This Ravager is frenzied.
Yeah, he can't be moved.
He cannot be moved, and he's spazzing out a little. All right, Lurker gets taken care of. Thanks to these Ravagers, but now we end up seeing the massive swell of Lurkers coming forward. He's gonna move there without his army, though. This is
so many Lurkers. He's asking for a Blinding Cloud there too. That looks terrifying, but if you get the 2-3 Blinding Clouds, we've seen it on tanks. It works very effectively. Snute gets some counter harass in, moving across the map. I like it. I like it a lot. Look at this, 5 Lurkers abducted. Oh my god.
Just repeatedly is gonna keep pulling them back in.
You know? Oh man, this is like, watching this gives me like a weird satisfaction because this is what it's like to build tanks versus Zerg.
This is your TVT.
You're like,
since you didn't get any Terrans today.
Yeah. Well, I don't build tanks, but yeah, this is nice to watch.
A good amount of damage happening there. Namshar, though, his bank is really not that big anymore, and that's what I think is becoming a little bit concerning. He's invested into all these Lurkers, but he hasn't been able to do anything with them, and Snute's bank is 4.6k minerals and almost 2k gas.
Yeah, this is an awkward spot to be in. I mean, Snute's Remax is going to be gnarly. Here we have those Vipers coming in. He's got the Spore Crawlers revealing those Lurkers too, so the Overseer is going to set itself up. And you can dance around this all you want, Namshar, but okay, there we go. Good abducts actually drawing in the Vipers of his opponent. You gotta limit those Blinding Clouds, you gotta limit those abducts as much as you can.
Yeah, those Blinding Clouds are really killer here. But takes out some of the larva. I mean, just trying to get some damage done. The Vipers have a lot of energy banked up once again over here for Snute. He's gonna need to utilize those as the Lurkers start engaging versus each other, and there's still a lot more Lurkers here for Namshar, but there are the Blinding Clouds. Lurkers have to unburrow, get out of there, but there's no retreat from this army.
Those abducts from Snute are so good. Both players getting so many abducts off on the Lurkers.
Oh, man. I feel like Namshar is hitting a hard wall right now where he doesn't have a bank. He doesn't have that much gas banked
Watching
either.
this is amazing because there's no way in hell that Sarah will let either of these guys play like this against him. Whoever wins, it's like you're never going to see as another Zerg player hit this phase of the game versus Sarah.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty dicey. Oh, the hatchery getting pretty low. And I think the lurker's in the... Yep, it's going to get...
like all of that for the hatchery. Like, what did it cost? Everything.
Yeah. The roaches in the bottom right going to be able to kill off a hatchery for Namshar in exchange for that. Namshar still has more bases, I believe, but I think these Lings and all of these units on the counterattack are going to be able to do something about it. They may not get the hatchery, but they're going to get some drones.
Yeah, flooding out. I mean, Snute's making use of his money. 5K, 2K. He's feeling pretty good. Let's also keep in mind that Snute actually has upgrades on his Zerglings. They are +3 attack. They rip and tear and shred. They have adrenal glands. Those are some frightening lings. The spine crawlers are not a valid defense against them.
All right, 13 workers go down. Namshar down to 37. He is actually going to be dropping down a little bit further as well as he makes a couple of spines and is not actually going to opt to re-drone right now. I kind of get it. He's lined out of so many bases. Yeah, I guess he's already pretty close to optimum saturation in most of these bases because he's just running dry. But this is going really all in now at this point.
Yep, there's nowhere else to really go from here for him. He's going to come up on this base, abducts all of the lurkers of Snute. Those are some really nice grabs. But he has to get the most disgusting, effective trades that we've ever seen in StarCraft.
These blinding clouds.
Snute still has 5,000 minerals and 3 lanes with adrenal glands. So.
And he's making Broodlords. The Broodlords are going to be a big problem here. A couple of Viper pulls again on some of the Ravagers, but the blinding clouds are still really solid here for Snute.
That Hydra
just
count
shutting him down.
A little low too. Namshar only has 3, so even if he could abduct the Broodlords, he won't be able to kill them.
Snute just Ravagered his own Broodlord.
Ouch.
Oh, that's fun.
No,
I mean, in his defense, it got pulled into the corrosive biles that he'd thrown down. But.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Namshar is going to make some more Hydras, some more Roaches, but again, like he's out of steam. Unless he establishes one of these bases, like a new base, he's really just out of resources. And even if he does that, Snute still has a massive 5.2k mineral bank.
Yeah, these Broodlords pushing him back.
Oh, Roaches go on a big attack on the right-hand side. Snute didn't actually have that much there originally, but the units show up eventually. And at the same time, wow, actually Snute is going to get forced back here because there's only one Broodlord.
What a gnarly ZVZ.
This is a fascinating game.
Snute has, no matter what advantage Snute gets, he's like, you know what, move across the map.
No, not feeling
send
it.
some
Not
wings.
feeling it.
Kill your drones so that you can't win, but I'm not ready to win yet either.
You know, maybe this is like game one. You want to just mentally break your opponent. You don't want to
mentally break.
You don't want to. You don't want to kill them because if you just kill them outright,
there we go.
then they just feel like it's over.
Send more of them. Send more of the Zerglings. You have 5,000 minerals.
No, now you pull back and you say, okay, believe in yourself now.
Shut up.
So that game number 2, they just have no hope or faith anymore.
Pulls in the Broodlord, pulls the Vipers in.
There we go.
There we go.
Turn off those high value units.
The army.
Yep, Namshar is sitting at 29 gas and barely mining. I think at this point he has 3... Actually, neither of these players are really mining that much gas anymore.
Snute, don't pull back. You got this. You got this. Don't you dare run away.
Snute, pull back.
Finish him.
He's going after the rocks, opening up the pathway. He's got Lings inside of the newer bases. Namshar has an counterattack that's not going to matter. GG.
Snute takes the first game. Only took 28 minutes.
Yeah.
And our first map of our second semifinal.
All right. You just looked at your
I'm like, this is hell of a day we're having here at WCS.
27 minutes. 27.
27 minutes.
All right.
Whew.
Well,
I'm sweating.
You predicted that this was going to be a long couple of games. I mean, there was really back and forth for a very long time. And actually, there were points where we felt like Namshar was ahead. But eventually, Snute started building up that bank and stuff. What changed? What happened?
Ravi, the real hope is that the fear of God has been put into Namshar. And he realizes, I don't want to play late game versus Snute. This is where Snute's very good.
Yeah.
And we all know that Snute's very good in late game, which is why he doesn't try to close out games. That's why he doesn't try to kill people super fast, because when he can take all those bases and get a bunch of spines, we saw it. His abducts were perfect. And
He only gets stronger.
He built up a 5,000 mineral, 3,000 gas bank against a Zerg who was constantly attacking him. And yeah, so my vision for the rest of the series is that Namshar is going to step up the aggression a little bit and probably try not to get to that phase of the game against Snute, because that is where Snute is strongest.
Okay, I can dig it. Well, map number 2 is going to be Dreamcatcher. The irony right now is that Snute needs a minute because his wrists are hurting. For the super long game that he drew out and played very conservatively. And I don't fault him for it. He played very conservatively because one wrong misstep or something, you walk into a bad engagement.
There's
suddenly,
enough money on the line that if he thinks playing a long game is the best way to win, then he should do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. For me, it's funny because Snute is a player that is really good, and in many cases where he could close out a game, he won't for fear of throwing the game. And it's like, well, you could kill him, but you know, you don't have to be sweating it all the time. That's why at the end of that last game, I'm like, if Snute had pulled back, it would be like, that's Snute. It's like he doesn't want to attack with this army. He's up 80 supply, but he wants to take that next base before he moves out again.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I do still think that Snute occasionally will throw in the early, the 13-12 or occasional all-ins. We'll see if he.
I feel like I don't see it. I feel like I don't see him do that versus Zerg as much.
Really?
I feel like I'd more likely to see him Nidus a Terran than do like some sort of crazy fast attack versus Zerg. But maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm out of touch. No,
well, you're in touch for now, at least. As we start up here, top left-hand corner of the map, top of the Team Liquid's very own Blue Zerg, Snute.
Nice. His opponent in the bottom right, the red Zerg player, he is Namshar.
Okay. Part of the reason why Snute is also very well known for going for those longer games is also because he has the stamina of... I don't even know. What's something that has a lot of stamina? I'm trying to think of like an animal that has a lot of stamina.
He'll go like Wild Stallion or something.
A Wild Stallion, yeah.
I don't know. Just run for days.
Yeah.
He sees Snute galloping across the open plains.
He's got the hair for it. He's got the mane.
His flowing hair, yeah. Oh yeah, those beautiful golden locks.
But he doesn't really get tired out a lot of the time by these games. I mean,
no.
We go back to Austin and his sick run through Austin, where he makes it through Group Stage 1, 2, and 3.
His flight got delayed. He showed up, right
like
before
30 minutes
match?
or something. He was afraid he was going to get disqualified because his flight was landing and he was going to get to the venue with his suitcases still with him at the venue. And he was afraid he might show up a little too late for his first match. But he managed to make it there in time, and he managed to make it through Group Stage 1 and 2 and 3, which is something crazy, like a 10 or 11 or 12-hour day. He hadn't slept in 30 hours.
He's a marathon man for sure.
And yeah, he still did well. So like, I think that you can't really ever expect Snute to feel worn out or tired from games like that. Whereas Namshar's not by any means... someone who's inexperienced with online cups or playing in long tournaments, but it's a different level for Snute.
Yeah, so both players this game, once again, quick catch, then speed, 2 queens, drones, few lings. Is Snute not building lings? Okay, he's delayed them a little bit.
That's actually going to work out to a very minor benefit for him. You know, you have the drones a little earlier. They get a little bit extra mining. Small little edges here and there. Third base is going to be taken over here for Namshar. Do we not have music on? No, we haven't.
No.
It's just very quiet.
It's on. It's lost in the wind, Ravi. These lings immediately get on this third base that Snute has started up.
And the lings for Snute coming out a bit later as well. Who's going to win the ling war? It looks like it's going to be Snute since Namshar goes after that hatchery a little too long. And that's nice, because then, again, you get to kill off those overlords with those super aggressive queens. We saw this in the last game, and it shuts down a lot of that vision.
Yeah, Snute doesn't care. He's like, well, I don't really all-in people, but for you, now I will consider it. You saw my very fast third. You lost your overlord, and this looks very much like the last game. Snute's got 10 lings on the way, but of course I say that, and he starts building drones again.
Yeah, I learned my lesson last game, Nate. I'm not going to make any predictions about things until I see it.
You know, I'm just a caster reading off a production tab, and you know, I felt a glimmer of hope for a moment there. Well, Namshar's building a lot of lings. He's actually flooding out a good amount of lings. He does have a Bailey nest coming in too.
Is he though?
But I don't see drones. If there's no drones, there's hope.
Not yet, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. He did get
okay. 16
now
more
he's
lings.
getting a lot of lings.
Isn't he though?
Isn't he though? Isn't he though?
That's my counter.
I can dig it. All right, the lings for Namshar are flooding across the map, but here's the funny thing is that did Snute realize that he's still making a drone here and there? Namshar is going back into drones behind this, but it is off the back of a lot of army supply moving forward.
Snute's like, what happened to our no rush 20, man? What's going on?
I mean, don't be misled by the army supply being so even. I think that a lot of that supply was in production here for Snute for a bit, and Namshar is moving forward with his own banelings at long last.
Yeah, this is a huge link flood that's coming in. He's going to move straight over. Get 6 drones immediately with those banelings. There are a bunch of banelings being made here for Snute, and Namshar is only building lings and banes behind this. I think this makes a lot of sense, Ravi. I called it. I said he was going to probably try to make the game not reach that weird late game phase that it reached in the last one, and he is doing it in one hell of a way.
But Snute still on an even number of workers now, and it has a few more lings out on the map, so Namshar's going to be the one that's on the defensive for a little bit. Lings getting caught as they try and make their way around, and it looks like Snute actually going to be pulled really far out from trying to do any sort of harassment at that third.
Yeah, this is nice. And Namshar is going to get a few drones at this point. He's like, okay, I guess I've done all I can do. We both still have third bases. Well, meanwhile, he does have a few of these lings left over, but they get cleaned up pretty easily. Every drone at this point is invaluable. If he gets that next one, oof.
Nope. Yeah. Nice bits and pieces of damage here from Namshar, but they're both sitting at 38 to 40-ish workers. They both have the same tech. I think neither one of them went to lair tech. I do like the really quick +1 mail or a missile attack upgrade that's coming out, and we did actually have 6 more workers go down there. Ooh.
Yeah, I think he just ran more banes or something.
Yeah.
Namshar looking good on the eco. And with that +1, I'm feeling a Roach Warren, a follow-up with a Roach Ling, maybe Roach Ling Bane attack, which will be quite difficult for Snute to hold.
A couple of drones might get picked off over here. Oh no, Snute going after the hatchery. That's got to be a misclick. There's no way you were expecting to get the hatchery there.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
A lot of banelings going to be coming forward over here from Snute. They got a queen, actually, funny enough. Looking for a connection on another baneling. Oh, I guess he wanted something better. He got greedy.
All right, well, there's a Roach Warren I was talking about. He is going to get a lair. So this game won't avoid the mid-game. Snute is a hard guy to kill. I mean, I imagine that pros give him more respect sometimes, but on ladder, I imagine a lot of people do try to cheese the crap out of him. He's got a lot of practice against dealing with these big ling floods, because his goal is to make that game go long.
Okay, and we end up seeing small little counterattacks of lings on either side. They're both trying to find some openings, but neither one of them are they're finding small little openings, nothing too massive, as they both kind of know at this point, yeah, we're getting up our lair, so we're getting up our Roach Warrens, we're getting up our tech, and moving into that mid-game of Roaches versus Roaches. The funny thing is they didn't really stick around on Roach versus Roach Wars for very long in the last game. They went really fast into Hydra tech. They both went really fast into Lurker tech as well. They really just dashed toward that high-tech unit.
Yeah. Snute, in this situation, I mean, down a little bit on that workers still, but we do have that +2 immediately start up for Namshar. He's been the upgrade-focused player. And I won't say that he's been crazy far ahead because Snute is also upgrade-focused, but you can see it in Namshar. He's constantly trying to get that little bit of an edge wherever he can in terms of the upgrades. And these lings going to get a nice little fight here for Namshar.
Okay.
Cleans up a lot of what Snute's got. The banelings did not come into play.
Ooh, yeah, he just got he did get some damage with the baneling. 8 workers killed.
He's faking us out.
There you go, man. Doing a nice job with these constant attacks, and Snute is really falling behind in that worker count. He's trying to drone back up, but Namshar in the meanwhile is just going to be using that extra larva to get up a bigger army supply. Now Snute is leading up a bit in army supply. That's why the general supply looks so even between the two. But it's going to be when Namshar finally finishes up some of that tech that I think he's going to start flooding out more units. And there it is, yeah. He's got 7 roaches on the way. you can see that armor supply gap kind of being closed.
Yeah, well, this is the part where Namshar uses that eco lead that he had for so long and really gets something out of it. And Snoot's been just forced to replace drones all game. He's got his Lurker Den, the Hydras are coming out, he's got the Hydra upgrades. Everything's looking pretty good for him. And Snoot's not, like, impossibly far behind or anything like that. It's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that there's a few things here and there that are going to be nice for Namshar, like that +1 Carapace upgrade that we do not see Snute getting. Doesn't have the money.
Yeah, +1 Carapace, it's like a weird one, right? It allows your roaches to survive a little bit longer, especially versus things like Hydras, but also your opponent's roaches. But I think it has diminishing returns in scaling later on in the game.
Well, I mean, he's already getting
early.
the attack upgrades.
Yeah.
So that's not really, in my mind, as long as you're not, like, you don't prioritize. I don't think anyone should ever prioritize armor unless you're Protoss versus Terran, because that's where the biggest meme of it all comes out. The Zealots are just very tanky. But in this mirror matchup, I think having that upgrade advantage is actually really nice. I liked it a lot in the match versus Nurchio, and I feel like it's something that doesn't get looked at enough, because if both players have that +2 attack, then suddenly that Carapace becomes a big deal, because he also gets +2. So he's willing to say, hey, I'll make 1 or 2 less Hydras or Roaches to have those upgrades because it is important.
Okay, flood across the map. +2 missile attack done here for Namshar. It's about to finish up for Snute. We got a couple of units that are trying to poke forward. Roaches trying to go for the run by, but they run straight through the gauntlet over there. As Snute gets a lot of free pickings on those Roaches. Namshar trying to poke in now over at the 4th base. At the same time, there's a Roach counterattack, and this one is going completely uncontested. Namshar just pulling all the way back home with his army.
Yeah, this was a really good grab for Snute, being able to get some damage done here as he cleans up not a crazy amount of drones, but prevents the mining, pulls the whole army back. He gives himself more time. He did lose a few drones of his own on the other side of the map, but not a crazy amount. The drone bloodbath, as it were, has stopped. But Namshar has killed 26 workers in this game. His pressure's been good. It's been relentless. Here come the lurkers from Namshar now to lock down the siege. We do not have the lurkers on the field for Snute. He has the lurker den.
Yep.
He hasn't been able to put any of them out. He's got Hydras coming in just now.
Okay. We'll see if he's able to make those immediately. He's going to start morphing in. A couple of Ravager eggs for now. Those will just at least be able to buy some time, especially at those kind of choke points. Another Roach counterattack over here from Snute. Doing a great job just pulling himself back at that worker count, but also just getting pickoffs on Queens. And pulling Namshar back, I feel like, is the biggest thing. Because, again, you were talking about how, you know, Snute doesn't really have the lurkers, but he's bought himself so much time with these counterattacks.
Yeah, he'll be able to get some soon. Oh, his army's kind of splitting on this map feature over here. These walls that separate the bases.
Curse you pathing.
I love that. Yeah, tuck the lurker into a spot that's very hard to dive on top of there. It can still attack across this gap.
Oh, that's really cute. And it's getting a lot of damage on. Snute is still taking a favorable engagement here, but that's the extra little bit of damage every single time. And at the same time, ooh, Namshar gets a snipe off on that top right-hand base. That is a big victory for Namshar.
That is a dirty pickup. And guess what? He ends up almost winning this fight. The lurkers are out for Snute now. But that one lurker eviscerated the army of Namshar.
7 kills on it. And those are Roaches and Hydras, not just Lings or something.
And it doesn't tell you how much damage it's done total to the rest of the units as well with that splash.
Wouldn't that be a cool stat to just see damage dealt?
Yeah.
I would dig that. Blizzard, please get on top of it.
Maybe someday.
Brian Shooter, maybe? That's something Brian Shooter would do.
Hive is about to finish for Namshar, so we should be seeing some Vipers coming out. And that's how you deal with them lurkers. And I think with this position for Nammy Nam, you get a few Vipers, you get your adaptive talons, and you just abductorino those enemy lurkers and try to kill the other dude.
Kind of unfortunate thing here for Snute is that he just cannot afford to get up that Hive Tech. He cannot afford to get up to Vipers, even if he could get up to Hive Tech after that. And we end up seeing lurkers getting killed over here. Snute's going to lose his other mining base, the most important base over here. He's going to lose a lot of workers in the process at least.
Ooh, good Biles landing on Snute's army too. There's the lurkers, they're going to burrow. They are in vision. Biles are going to hit 2 of them, but not kill
survives.
Either. Ouch, that stings.
And it's actually just going after the drones now. That's it, GG.
Namshar ties it up.
1-1, and with a lot of heavy aggression that doesn't quite work out exactly the way he wants it to, but he still manages to pull out little leads here and there and kind of take a big enough advantage that he can just close out the game with it.
Yeah, that was just really well done. I mean, that's, you know, not to give myself too much credit, but I was saying you don't want to go to that late game against Snute. You want to put on a little bit of pressure earlier, wedge some sort of position in his base, whether it's an advantage in the economy or the upgrades. He had the Carapace upgrade that Snute did not have. His units were a little bit stronger, a little bit tankier, and he got worker kills all game long. So Snute didn't have those opportunities to make the jumps for second evolution chambers or hive tech.
Yeah. And with that, we get ready to move into game number 3, Acid Plant, for this tied-up series 1-1. Winner moves on to, as Nate put it, be the sacrificial lamb for Cyril in the grand finals.
Yep.
And I'm sure that Cyril's also watching all of us and be like, okay, yeah, so this is what you guys want to do, right? And I think you were saying this before, like, Cyril's not going to let it get to that point, most likely.
No.
Which is the kind of the fun thing, so.
I can't imagine a world where Cyril is like in this Roach, Hydra, Lurker, Viper, ZVZ. I'm like, no. I see Cyril probably just somehow having more roaches, even if he doesn't kill drones. He's just going to have more roaches anyway, and just killing.
Yeah, maybe. I can see it where he does just win it outright, but I still sometimes feel like ZVZ is a weird matchup where it just depending on how you open up or like how you read the game, things can happen. And you can maybe get to that late game with, because you think about it, like Cyril doesn't just always crush people in the first like 8 minutes of the game, right? Sometimes it does. He goes the distance. He goes to 15, 20-minute games with them, and then he crushes them. But it's like 15, 20 minutes of crush.
Does he though? I'm not so sure, Robbie. I'm not so sure. In the top left of Acid Plant, we have the Red Zerg player. He is Namshar.
I want Jeff to crunch the numbers on that. What's the average game length of Cyril?
Well, you know, it's either short or medium or long. Just, you know.
I said Jeff.
Could go either way.
I said Jeff, not tasteless.
Fair enough.
Spine down here on the bottom right, we have our blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. It's Snute. Tied up that series in the last game. Is not going to go for any kind of early pool openings.
No.
Now there's Namshar.
These guys are boring, Fear Dragon. No one wants to
Is it boring, or are
no one wants to get down and
Are they
dirty.
honorable?
Honorable?
You know, this is a funny conversation.
You a Team Liquid poster, man? Like, no one's allowed to cheese? What is this?
Oh.
There's no honor. It's a video game.
I know. You know what my favorite thing is, actually? You talk about Protoss, and in the lore, they're like these super honorable people, and they're like always very straightforward. And then you talk about the Protosses on the NA ladder or something, and you're like, oh, this is nothing like the lore.
If Protoss were truly dishonorable, wouldn't they just find a way, instead of fighting you, to just project their warp gate technology onto your units? It's like all your Marines pop out, and then
you
they
just warp indestructible rocks into the unit themselves.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking you could just send all the enemy into deep space, just like warp them to middle of nowhere. It's like, there you go, we don't have to deal with
If you can recall your own units, why can't you recall other units off of a cliff?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. So that's the honor, man. People, that honorable stuff is just too much. It's just too much. Why don't they
Maybe Protoss is honorable, but there's only a limit to how honorable they can be, because they have all these dirty tactics that they don't employ. So they got to do something. So they make oracles.
You'll notice a lot of the cheesy units come from the Nerazim side of things. Those guys aren't
This
so
is
honorable.
true. This is actually very true. DTs, oracles,
People think they hate
stalkers.
Protoss. Really, they just hate the Nerazim. That's, you know, they hate the Void. That's where you get your DTs, your oracles. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you say that, but you've never been 7-gate zealot on it.
I mean, that's about as straight up of an attack as you can do.
This is true.
I think it fits. I think Zealots are probably the more honorable StarCraft unit. They're just very.
They're pretty honorable.
They just happen to be good at their jobs. It's just that people hate them.
They are very good at their jobs. It's the crushing blow that you know is coming. We still have trouble stopping.
Yeah. Baneling Nest for Snute. The third is not crazy fast. These Lings are like, man, I'm just gonna go scout. I've got 4, you've got 6. Whatever. You're probably gonna kill my queen. I just want to know what's going on here. Sees the Baneling Nest hidden in the back for Snute.
who hasn't, Namshar hasn't actually gone for his own Baneling Nest. In fact, he's going for a lot of Lings right now. I mean, this is still about as many Lings as his opponent has, so we can't really call this a huge all-in by any means.
Well, Namshar didn't see a third hatch go down, and he should now. His Overlord is there, but it came a little bit later, so he might have been anticipating some aggro. Snute is just... He's put out quite a few Lings as this Baneling Nest finishes up, so we're going to have a little bit of that dance. And like many games of ZVZ, it will come down to a little bit of Banelings, a little bit of Lings, and not really anything actually happening unless a sick Baneling detonation blows up all of the Zerglings.
Yeah, and Banelings are going to be a little bit later here for Namshar. Snute has a Baneling or two Banelings out now. It looks like they are being made aggressively, so he's actually going to be able to get some good damage. Oh, this is going to be really nice. If these Banelings can even just buy a little bit of space, he does get a pretty good connection there. He's taking out
gnarly Bane connection for Snute.
A lot of the Lings over here for Namshar are really in a lot of trouble now. The Banelings do finish up, though. The hatchery gets very low on hit points, but Snute even doing damage to the hatchery with the Banelings as he detonates on Lings is really nice.
Yep, this is an awkward situation to be in. The pressure that he's put on has been very real. More Lings come up. Great Baneling hit for Namshar, though.
That went under the pressure.
That turns his third base into a big target. Yeah, Snute's got drones on the way. Namshar's pumping out Lings and Banes, though, still. And Namshar goes back into drones. Okay.
That's the paranoia thing, right? Is that even if Snute just goes and ignores that hatchery now, Namshar is going to be thinking, but what if he comes in with the biggest swing of Lings? Like, I need to have preparation. I need to be prepared. And then you kind of end up over-defending it, and you maybe don't get up as many drones.
Good Baneling hit there. Wow. Okay. Okay, getting a little...
Namshar getting some actually pretty decent damage on here. And he is actually just going straight back into drones, so... as much as I was saying, you know, sometimes you can end up over-defending, Namshar is just saying, no, it's fine.
He used what he was getting to defend, and now Snute will probably do the same because he's got 14 Lings coming out. But both players are getting Roach Warrens, they're taking extra gases, they're both building lots of drones. Neither of them ready to end the game in this phase. Snute playing catch-up on the workers right now.
Yeah, still looking for some damage potentially, and the Baneling does go off of the hatchery again.
Close to killing that hatch.
He tries to go in for it. He's running all the Lings in. Oh, there it is.
Nice. That's a really good grab for Snute. Finishing that hatchery off, huge pick off to laying that income, all those drones that he has that he could saturate on that base. Well, they are not doing anything now, and Snute is just going to build roaches. He's just going to counter. He's going to counter all in from this. No, okay, he doesn't rebuild the hatch. I mean, Namshar rebuilds the hatch, but Snute is going to be pumping out a bunch of roaches, excuse me.
Yeah, I was going to say the funny thing is that, yeah, Snute is way up in army supply after all of that. So you'd think, like, oh, Namshar maybe thinks, I just lost my third hatchery, I just got to go for a big attack. But no, it's Snute that has all the roaches.
The army supply, yeah, it's all the roaches that are in production, and the roaches take up a lot of that supply. But what's really nice was the difference between the two openings in terms of the aggressive parts was, yeah, Namshar got onto Snute's third, but he didn't really damage it that much. So this potential for the awkward attack wasn't really there. Let's also not forget that that's where some of the larva comes from. That's where the production for Namshar comes from, that third base. So he actually just can't build as many units. If Queen gets picked off, really nice grab there for Snute.
Yeah, and I think Namshar knows he cannot move out to defend this third, because if he tries, then he's just going to get caught by all of the roaches popping on forward. And he just retreats back into that natural, but there's not even that many units left. He's finally getting out some of those roaches, but that third hatchery is once again a goner.
Yep, really good play. Really great denial on that base. These roaches are kind of dragging Namshar's out onto the map. He needs to be careful as his lair is not done yet, and Namshar's roach speed is on the way. It's not too close to finishing, so he's not like really concerned about it, but it's something that you have to have in the back of your mind.
Okay, roaches making their way across the map very slowly. Roach speed, like you said, still on the way, but Snute a good ways away from his finishing as well, so it's not like he can really chase this. This isn't a huge deal, but Snute knows that this is coming. He has a lot of time to prepare. He's got those roaches and Ravagers sitting up on the high ground, might I add, so that makes it extra difficult to also push up.
He's doing a solid job positioning-wise. I mean, Snute definitely is ahead by a large margin. Everything he's done this game has worked out very well, much to Namshar's dismay as he prepares for a brutal, slow, painful death. I do wonder if Snute is considering any aggressive options at this point.
No, he needs to max out Nate.
I mean, when he gets roach speed in +1, there's going to be a nice window where that third base will not have given Namshar what he needs yet, and he could go for a really big Roach, maybe Roach Ravager shove. The opportunity is there. Snute is not necessarily the player to always try and seize that opportunity, but
I think he is the smart enough player to know that when he's going to be that much further ahead. For now, I mean, even just the Roach count is substantially higher here for Snute, and that alongside, of course, the his upgrades and stuff finishing as Roach speeds finishing. I think he's going to be moving across the map because that's just capitalizing on
I
the
like
advantage.
this. I mean, if you're Snute, you should probably realize that you're far enough ahead that if your opponent sends, if you're like, oh my god, there's 6 Roaches in my third right now, he does not have anything at home. Like, you will just vastly overwhelm him. We see the spine repositioning to the top side, so that's where Namshar is going to try to hold his line, use the high ground. There is not an overseer with this army, so I don't dislike the position that Namshar is going for, but Snoot's just going to say, actually, I've got so much more than
It's actually 36 Roaches to 17, so, you know, this is a numbers game.
Like, get him out of here.
Snute with the critical snipes off on the third base, repeatedly securing an advantage in this game and carries it out into what looks to be like a victory, it seems like. Really well done. I mean, Namshar does a nice counterattack. He's actually killed 15 work. This is actually amazing amounts of damage for the
Well, this is what I was saying, is because he had so much less than Snute, it's like if Snute sees an attack, he's like, well, that means you just have nothing at home, and that's precisely what happened. And now he is here, brutalizing, killing, and slaughtering Namshar. And he should go up 2-1. There's not really, that's it. Nothing really you can really do here. GG.
That's it.
Snute takes map number 3.
All right, goes up 2-1 in the series, like you said, is now sitting at match point. Namshar in a rough spot. Namshar making a really good run through Challenger. I think he is one of the people that I think is actually in the very competitive scene and region of Europe. It's not always a given to make it into Challenger. I think that just Challenger is a very, very competitive space. So Namshar is one of the players I think a lot of people maybe are like, yeah, I could, if he didn't make it into the season Challenger, not everybody would be surprised.
Right.
But he makes it through. He makes it through the group stage, and he makes it through his round of 8 matches now in the semifinals. This has already been a crazy impressive run for him. If he can just edge his way in 2 more games, he makes it to the finals. I would say that's like probably one of the best accomplishments for Namshar in his career.
Yeah, well, it's still rough. Snute is the experienced veteran. He is a champion of several tournaments. I think he's still the highest earning StarCraft 2 foreigner as well, right? So
one of them, yeah.
It is a tough task to take on that young man.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop to a short break before we go into game number 4. So don't go anywhere. You're watching Namshar versus Snute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS EU Challenger. We're hopping into game number 4 in this series. We currently have Snute up 2-1. The game is already loaded. Nate, we don't even have to talk or fill time or anything. The game is here. We're ready to move in.
Because, God, we'd hate for you to miss the incredibly slow, uninteresting openings that both of these guys always do.
All right. Well, spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map is currently sitting down 1-2. He is the red Zerg player, Namshar.
He's put up quite a show today, but this guy starting to take control of this series again. In the bottom, we have our blue Zerg. He is Snute.
Always feels right when the Team Liquid player is spawning as blue. I always dig that.
Yeah.
What's your color, Nate? If you have a choice.
I like to play teal. I think Terran looks really good with teal.
Oh,
teal was my favorite color to play when I played in Brood War.
Me too.
Yeah.
I used to play teal in Warcraft 3 and Brood War a lot.
Only play teal. Teal's the best color to play as.
You know, they always say though that there was like, especially in like Brood War and Warcraft 3, teal was always like the problem causer. People would always be upset with teal.
Why?
I don't know. That's like a thing that I've heard, and I used to always be teal, so I always took it kind of personally.
That's weird. I've never heard that. Be proud to be teal, Ravi.
I'm a proud teal chooser.
It's 2018. I don't think people have problems with being teal anymore. That's just, man, those people were such fools.
Man.
Such fools. Fast third hatchery for Snute. He is, I mean, this is his map, right? You have a very big map. You've got the in-base natural. You want to play it slow and steady wins the race. Feel free, Mr. Turtle.
Yep. This is kind of the dream for him. We'll see if Namshar follows suit, though. He is not, I mean, he's only now going to be seeing, okay, you took the forward base. That's fine. You can kind of do that in ZVZ. It's not the end of the world. But what he's not going to be seeing for a while is the fact that the third base was also taken a lot earlier on than him. So, okay, he's going to take his own third at a pretty reasonable time. So I guess 16-bit, you can kind of expect it. But it is just a bit later.
It's really nice for Snute, though, because Namshar's not committing to anything nuts. Like, this isn't crazy. And even if he was going to all in a minute or two, by that point, all these bases are done. Snute can probably get a wall up if he really wants to. It's a nice position to be in, just getting the base that much faster, because he's getting the larva faster, the queen production faster, whatnot.
Well, that Overlord, once again, going to be going down. This time there are a few Lings moving forward. They're going to try and intercept that Queen to save the Overlord. He is actually going to be able to block off that Queen from getting too much damage done. But the Lings for Snute, pushing those Lings of Namshar back, and it looks like that Overlord will eventually end up falling.
Snute's like, I've decided this Overlord is going to die.
He is so aggressive about sniping off those Overlords, and he always ends up getting them.
Vision is so important, man. Yeah. Dude, I lift my barracks to kill Overlords that hide in those like map hack spots where they just get to sit there and look at everything.
Oh my God, he's gonna intercept the other Overlord.
It's always worth it. It's always worth it.
This is actually so sick.
Get the Overlord.
Wait, does it have high ground? Oh, it has high ground vision over there.
Use your own Overlord. Okay, whatever. At some point, that Queen has to
drop
make
Overlord on top of your opponent's Overlord.
This Penguin has wandered too far from the pack. She needs to go.
Yeah, a little bit. She gets picked off there.
That's what happens. Was it the seals? Whatever. There's like a cuddly animal that like eats penguins. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, this big one. Pack of ferocious Zergling seals. Is this
quite the wall?
Okay, it's 3 evolutions.
This is quite the wall.
Now I would love leopard seals, by the way. I would love to see him get all 3 upgrades, by the way. It wouldn't make any sense. It'd be a terrible move. I'm just letting you know that seeing those 3 evolution chambers going at once. I think if you're, that's what I'm saying. If Namshar sees 3 evolution chambers wiggling and jiggling, I feel like that's like a real power play. You know what I mean?
You're just like, I can do whatever I want right now.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do about it?
Exactly.
That's when Namshar goes up, gets a faster roach, or not a faster roach, but he gets up his faster lair tech up, and just, I don't know, goes for a Nidustorm?
Maybe, I don't know. It's 16-bit. The slow games.
Oh, I didn't mean in reality. I meant if you saw a triple Evo chamber recently.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe that. Yeah, that's.
No, not in seriousness. I actually wouldn't hate something like a Nidus Swarm, but the problem is he's lost so many Overlords. You'd have trouble actually getting a Nidus Swarm into that main or natural.
Nah, I'd say forget about that.
Okay. Well, for now, looks like the Spinecrawler plus the triple Evo Chamber Wallin secures Snute very, very steadily. I think he's been on a pretty decent worker lead, at least 5 to 10 workers for a solid 2 minutes or so. So he's been leading up for a while. But Lair Tech finishes up here for Namshar, and Snute's gonna be pretty far behind in that regard.
Yeah, we have Roaches coming out now for Snute, who's getting his 1-1. And Snute's very late lair finally begins.
I guess Namshar doesn't know necessarily how late the lair is.
That's true, because his Overlord couldn't get in the base. So.
Yeah. Well, now he's
there's that. Yeah, now he morphs the Overseer, and he's like, I'm going to see it. He won't know if it just started, though. And it predicted
could just be just finishing. Yeah, it could have been like maybe 5-10 seconds later.
Yeah.
Well, either way, he's going to know double Evo Chamber are researching at least, so he's going to have a good idea of that. He sees the 4th base also being plopped down, and we're getting into a macro game, Nate.
Nice. The dream.
The dream. I mean, it's something that I think some people may have expected with this series.
You know, Ravi, I've been enjoying my new caster treatment, getting all the ZVZs today. It's been great.
This has actually just been a massive payback for Valencia.
This is all I want.
All right. Well. Sorry.
1-1 is going to finish up for Snute, though. +2 attack is on the way for Namshar. Namshar's been very good about those upgrades. That's probably my favorite thing about watching him play. I am an upgrade nut. I love upgrades. They are always underestimated and understated in big matches and casts. And they don't always just like automatically give you a game, but they make a lot of nice things happen. And I like to focus. Snute going straight for 2-2 though. That's where that double kicks in. He's like, yeah, my +2 attack isn't as fast, but my Carapace will be much faster. Namshar though wants to try and do something with that +2 attack being done faster.
Okay, he's making his big push out. The army supply not that far apart, just a slight little lead over here for Namshar. But remember, there's also that defender's advantage for Snute. His Roaches are going to be here a little bit faster. Positioning is going to be important. Ravager's getting some Corrosive Biles off, and I actually do manage to land on 1 or 2 of Snute's Roaches. Actually getting some pretty decent connections there.
And those Biles have not been bad at all for Namshar on top of Snute. And you got to be careful, because once Namshar pushes up that hatchery, he can drop the Biles on your larva, he can pick off your morphing eggs. And that's where things really start to get dicey. He does land a few more Biles on Snute's army. Eats a big one
gets a couple of them, though. Yeah, and now it's starting to maybe lean a little bit more toward Namshar. He just has a lot of Ravagers here, and he still has a lot of Roaches. Now the upgrades are finishing up for Namshar, though. He has +2 missile attack, and this is where I think he can make a lot of progress.
And he's got some strong Roaches here. There we see a bunch of Biles going to land, clearing out the larva on the hatchery, grabbing some of those morphing units.
Getting pushed back, though.
He's got a lot. I mean, you talked about it, Fear Dragon, the defender's advantage. Snute doesn't have very far to go to get his army over here to help stop this attack from Namshar.
Yeah, Namshar going to have to regroup a little bit. He's also going to be going up against a Lurker Den that's coming up here for Snute and a Hive. Snute is feeling really confident about pushing this back.
Yep, and this is so tricky. Oh my goodness, pushing forward. And watching all of these little orange clicks of death appear is mesmerizing.
Yeah, I feel like Snute is kind of playing a little bit of fire here. It's like where you start getting the advantage, like, okay, cool, I'm going to go for a Lurker. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I'm going to go for a Hive as well. I was like, okay, I'm going to also have 2-2 finish up before you. It's like, okay, Snute, I mean, you're going for a lot of advantages all at once. And I guess he doesn't necessarily know if there's +2 Carapace coming up for Namshar soon. But this is still the period where it's like, okay, it's all or nothing. Snute defends here and probably just wins, or Namshar busts through because Snute was teching all over the place.
Yeah, this is a strange bust to watch. This
has been like a 4-minute fight.
Does this just not end? Is this just it? We on the rain map now? There's like...
So the problem is that they're making Roaches faster than they're losing them right now.
When do we get a melee map of StarCraft that just has random Biles rain down?
I would play that. It's like,
I
you know,
commentate this.
random nukes is overrated. Random bile.
They added a neutral missile turret. There we go. Snoot's going to dive on top of this army. He's got his 2-2.
Okay, with the reinforcements,
he has
gonna
fewer
have
units,
yes. I was like, okay. I love that Namshar's got like, the Ravagers alive.
It looks like there'll be a conclusion to this game at least.
Don't jinx it.
Or at least
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. Okay, well, now that the Lurker Den is finished up and the Hive Tech is finished up, I mean, either Vipers or Hydras or something can come out over here for Snute. And those, any one of those should be a significant way for Snute to actually try and defend over here.
Yeah, he has to get him out. That's the problem, is he's the whole entire focus of this match so far has just, wow, he saved that spine with like half hit point. That's
I mean, there's no chance to use, so it's going to go down eventually.
Yeah, like he pulled it out in the last second. I'm like, that's not bad, but you can't heal it.
Well, Snute is starting to bleed out quite a few units here. I mean, if you look at the army, look at the army supply. It's so heavily in favor of Namshar. The funny thing is, do you think that Snute can still hold this back if he loses his fourth?
No, he's
with attack advantage?
We're going to game 5, Ravi.
You think so?
Oh yeah,
probably.
Yeah, he doesn't have. He's at 200 supply.
I'm trying to imagine the power of Lurkers right now.
Is he even building them?
No.
GG.
GG. Namshar with just relentless aggression, taking slightly better trades over a long enough period of time, eventually pushes through and breaks Snute.
That was rough, man. I was surprised to see it. Like, when you see a Zerg player just barrel down the map like that, he's like, yeah, it's a kind of long-ish map, but I'm just going to rally roaches across the whole way and just kill you and beat you to death with corrosive biles. And in those situations, being the defender can become awkward. It's like, yeah, your defender's advantage, but when your units are popping out right there, sometimes they'll rally into the enemy units.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I was there for this one patch of the StarCraft 2 beta in 2010.
Oh.
Units that were rallied out, they actually came out with attack move. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. There was a patch where your units would attack on the way out of production structures.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. And much to the dismay of some people, you had 2 rally options, actually, on your barracks.
I actually do remember this. Wait a second. Oh, man.
Yep.
That's nuts. That's a throwback. Wow.
Yep. It was so that people who rallied reinforcements wouldn't just get picked off by like random lings.
Yeah.
That's then they're like, well, we can't make StarCraft 2 too easy. Come on. The people who play Brood War, man, if their wrists aren't literally exploding as they have been, then the game
Well, I mean,
is
the
too
Brood War
easy.
players all left when they had auto rally to the mineral patches at the beginning of the game. They were like, this is too much.
Because that was like the worst thing ever.
I practiced splitting my workers day in and day. Actually, you know, I gotta say though, that was always the fun. I did actually enjoy.
My favorite part about going to play soccer is definitely where I spend an hour cleaning up the field before I kick the ball. You know, that's just. I can't imagine being able to just go and play games. Like, no.
You know what I always enjoyed though is when there would always be those people who would say like, okay, but you can judge someone's skill level off of their worker split.
Yeah.
By the way, for those who are wondering what we're talking about, in case it wasn't clear, like at the beginning of the game, if you joined in Legacy of the Void or even I think Heart of the Swarm, you would see that, yeah, when the game starts, your workers just go and start mining. It didn't actually used to be that way, especially if you played StarCraft 1 or Brood War. Your workers would just sit idly by your command center or Nexus or hatchery, and they would wait for you to issue a command to them to go start mining workers or start mining minerals.
Yeah.
So you would split up your workers and you tell them to mine in different mineral patches to like optimally do it. So you'd try and save a little bit of time there, but it ended up having very negligible effect.
Yeah. It's one of those things I'm glad we don't have to deal with anymore because it's not a huge part of playing the game.
My favorite thing is still that there would be the players that would say like, you can tell a skill level by the worker split. And then I would see these people who would have these amazingly good worker splits. And then they just couldn't macro after that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. It's like a totally separate skill.
It never ended up actually adding anything because it was maybe a mineral or 2. But the big thing was, most of the time, you didn't do it perfectly. And if you didn't do it perfectly, then you actually lost minerals compared to the game just sending them for you. Which is why, despite the fact that you can turn off the starting worker rally, nobody does because everybody acknowledges that the future is a good thing. Change is good. The metric system is superior. It's okay for new things to come into your life.
Well, hold on. Let's not. Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you on the metric system thing. But, all right, guys. Catalyst is going to be our final map for this last game of the semifinals of our last semifinals before we move on to the grand finals. Only one of these players is going to move on to face off versus Cyril. Who will it be? Will it be a very handsome stallion, Snute? And what animal would you give Namshar?
I don't know. Give him a leopard seal.
A leopard seal.
He's a leopard seal.
I'm not sure. Is that a comp? A leopard seal.
Well, they can survive in
you were
the
talking
Arctic.
about you were talking about how they can kill penguins.
They can survive in very cold temperatures, which makes them hardy and disciplined. And they also kill penguins, so it's like, wow. But that's what you gotta do to survive. They're not bad guys. They just gotta, they gotta eat like everybody else.
There you go, man.
Don't hate on them just because they don't want to starve to death. Jeez. Twitch chat, come on.
Spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have our red Zerg player. He is Namshar.
Spawning in the bottom right. That's how you wanted that one. You wanted that one. Going full in control on me, huh? I love those player intros. The bottom right, the blue Zerg, he's Snute. I wish we could phone in control and just introduce the players.
Can we just have him pre-record them?
I was making jokes about how I was like, in control's probably still asleep, but I'm like, no, we've actually been on for 8 or 9 hours now. It's 1 in the afternoon. In control might be watching this, being like, thank God I didn't have to do this day of the broadcast.
Oh yeah. Ooh. I got nothing else to say. I know that he is. He is laughing. He's like, ha.
No, he's probably playing with his models or something like that. It's Catalyst. This map, there's nothing to say about this map. It's been mostly figured out. Nothing weird really here. And unsurprisingly, like every other game in the series, both players opening up very straightforward. Gas, pool. Look at that beautiful WCS Challenger logo.
That's pretty awesome.
That's great. Where is my WCS decal in-game on StarCraft?
Is that a real globe? Hold on.
A real globe? No, the Earth isn't flat, Fear Dragon.
Okay. You know what? Tired of this ass. I don't think... Is this an actual part of the world?
I don't know. Your joke was... Your analysis here is so weak that one of our observers just left. It's like, no, I'm done. Someone was following your camera, and then you did that, and they're like, no, I can't.
It's like, I can't. Anyways, okay. Go ahead. We can talk about the 4 lings that are.
I want that WCS decal. I want it
WCS
in the game.
decal?
I want that as a decal.
Actually, you know what? I still want to hear what your opinion is because I forget if I've asked you. What do you think about any unit being able to throw down
a
the
spray?
sprays?
Oh yeah, I already told you that'd be silly. It'd be silly, Fear Dragon.
Why would it be silly? I think it'd be pretty cool.
No, because one person would accidentally do it during a fight, and then it would be. All of those people who hate that workers automatically mine would bring out their pitchforks.
Do it right now with a worker?
Yes, but the point is, in the heat of a moment, you're not really microing workers unless you're being attacked, and that's why it's set to the Y key, so that it's very hard to hit accidentally.
Oh, actually, we do have a large number of lings coming out over here for Snute, whereas Namshar is still droning up a little bit more. Third bases are out for both these players, and this is around the same time that we had big ling floods coming out for both players.
It is 10 o'clock in Norway. Snute bringing out a lot of lings.
Namshar, though, I feel like this is just kind of the same style that we were seeing from the previous games for both players. I don't think that they're coming out that much earlier for Snute, but Namshar is just not really making the same number of lings. I'm kind of wondering if he's not respecting this.
Oh, Snoot just getting right up on top of this. His Bane's
my God.
He's going to get onto the drones of Namshar. Would have liked to see him split some off to the main, make the Banelings a little bit harder to micro, but actually comes around for the Queens. And this I really like. This is going to open up Snute Pete to be able to use Banelings on his own. I think morphing those ones a little bit aggressively.
I guess that he kind of buys some space for himself as well to also retreat with those Banelings, since you want to go after the Banelings. You don't want to just let them finish up, so then you go after those, and then the lings get back home in time. So you maybe have enough units up to defend, and you still have your queens, but one of the queens is going to get potentially surrounded there and doesn't quite.
He's got to be real careful. Having the queen there to help support this fight is nice, but there's not enough Zerglings for Snute.
Okay, well, the Banelings do make their way forward, and he manages to clean up all of these lanes. Both of the queens end up surviving here.
And guess what? Snoot's got more Banelings on the way.
More Banelings, more Lings. Namshar does get away with a higher drone count, though, at the end of the day.
Both players going into drones out of this, too.
Yeah, but Namshar is up to, like, 40, and they're both making around the same number.
Yeah. It definitely hurts.
Because, I mean, he committed less to making Lings with the very first fight, and I don't think that he actually ended up losing any workers, but he made a roughly equivalent number of Lings and Banelings after all of the fight. So he kind of just ends up a bit ahead after that.
He's getting Burrow. That feels a bit quick.
He
doesn't even have his lair on the way.
I mean, he doesn't even have a Roach Horn done.
He's got a Burrow Banelings? No.
No, this has got to be for the Roaches, right? Like, I imagine he's... But
no, he
yeah, you're
canceled
right.
it. Yep, okay, it was an accident. I figured.
I was thinking maybe he does that, but then he...
Burrowed Roach Harass when you can build spores for free? No, that's not going to do anything.
For free? Every single Zerg player is raging in the chat right now. It's like, did you know it
You don't even have a tech requirement, all right? Shut up. No one cares.
Oh, my God.
Doesn't even have a tech requirement.
Freaking savage, man.
Easiest thing to get in the game.
They can't even argue back with you right now.
It's the easiest thing to get in the game, okay? I'm using it to argue that a fast Roach wouldn't do anything because I'm correct. A lot of Lings are being added to, though, for Snute right now. And the potential to have him just stampede across the map becomes very real.
Okay.
But there's Banelings here, so the Roaches need to do a
revealed.
good job of knocking those down, preventing them from getting onto his Lings. Because once that Ling flood hits, that's when it's going to be really difficult to stop.
Okay, can he get up the ramp safely? He snipes off all of the Banelings that are currently morphed in. A couple of them finish up in the back, though. Snute gonna be taking some big damage on his Ling count, but his own Banelings are coming forward. His own Lings are ready to move forward, and I think this is that overwhelming numbers you were talking about, Nate. The Queens are helping out quite a bit, though.
Really important to have the Lings on that Spine Crawler. Don't let him hit the Roaches. Let your Roaches stay alive. Get that damage in. The drones being pulled off also helps a lot. But Snute has committed a lot here, and Namshar did a pretty good job holding. He
did a really good job.
I'm shocked that Namshar is at 50 drones right now after all of this, and he's able to hold like that.
I'm amazed that he was able to hold that well.
Namshar versus Cyril should be a good series, Fear Dragon.
You're calling it? I wouldn't blame you.
Somebody's got to be the In Control. Someone told me they were upset that In Control wasn't going to be here, so I was like, you know what? I'm not really good at bullying Fear Dragon, but I can make snarky comments about the players.
That's fair. You know,
I'm being the villain caster.
Ooh, this is a lot of Lings to be surrounding these Roaches.
Now those Roaches do have +1 attack, so they make work of the Lings. But I mean, that Ling surround was really good. The Roaches could have bunched up a little bit better.
Yeah, the +1 weapons is helping out quite a bit, like you said, but it is a lot of Roaches to be losing here for Namshar. I still think that Namshar has enough of an economy, and he's had enough time to allow this economy to pay off, though, so he should have units.
Snute is not slowing down. He is still just building Lings behind these Roaches. That +1 attack difference for Namshar is huge. Right now, he really just needs to just crank out Roaches nonstop. He has to hold on. So important right now.
None of these players have a lair, and neither of them look like they have any intention of ever getting up to a lair. I think this game is going to get decided on hatchery tech, because here we go. Corrosive Bile.
Don't eat that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, move some of the Roaches aside so that the Lings can get up and try to get that surround. We have the Queens here too. There's more Biles coming in as the Roaches continue to pour out with the Zerglings for Namshar. And I mean, those upgraded Roaches are so good. He's going to clean up this attack from Snute. And
I think this might be Namshar's big performance right now, Nate. I think that this is going to actually be him.
The Roaches still don't have speed, so Snute will have time to try and do something on the other side of the map.
There's enough Lings also over there. GG. Namshar makes it to the grand final of WCS EU Challenger. Wow, that's I gotta say, this has got to be one of his best results so far.
Played really well. Namshar played very well today. Played some very strong, solid ZVZ, and now he has to go up to the final boss, and he's probably, you know, he's at a good level right now, but the boss is like probably still very, very high up there.
Yeah, we didn't quite manage the level scaling for Cyril versus, you know, all the other players. So it's kind of like you're moving in, you're like a level 30 or something. You're like, wow, I'm doing really well. Finish another one of those dungeons or something. You move in, and it's like you kind of have that weird moment where you enter in like the level 60 area, and you're like, I feel like I'm supposed to be here right now.
It's like that one, what is it, that one? Well, wait, I mean, yeah. It's like that one, the Simpsons meme or whatever, where it's like the guy on the bus like, I'm in danger. But versus Cyril's like, huh.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting kind of late, so we want to make sure that we can allow the players to, of course, play their games before it turns into like 4 in the morning or something crazy for them. ZVZ is going to be our grand final. Cyril versus Namshar. It's going to be a pretty interesting one, but I think that there's going to be a lot of favoritism toward one player. We'll see you guys in a bit with Cyril versus Namshar.